Yes, good morning, everyone. So, any doubts on the last class? What we have discussed, it was second demonstration we have completed. Today, this is going to be our third demonstration, and tomorrow onwards, our regular classes will be started, and we'll have a different meeting ID, and you can communicate with our admin for the enrollment and other details. So here you can find admin number, WhatsApp number for communication. Yes. Yeah. Any doubts? Anybody would like to talk with me?
Hello. Hi, Chandra. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just a small question. Maybe it will be silly question only. I just want this is the environment which we are going to work, right?
Yeah.
This is a live cloud environment.
Yes, yes, this
So
is cloud.
okay.
Yeah.
So in some case for practice section, we may create a different type of example employer or employee company names and all, right? So if already exists, that may impact for them.
No, there won't be any impact. See,
Okay.
basically, when client buy this product from Oracle, so they will be getting the instance in the cloud. So we need to configure the client organization structure and their procurement, finance, and whatever the modules we are going to implement, that we will be doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yes. So I have done this employee setup in our previous demo session, right? In second demo, we have seen how to configure employee user account and then buyer account. Now we are going to talk about supplier setup. So if we want to configure supplier setup, we required the role called supplier manager. So the moment when we have the role called supplier manager, we'll be able to perform the supplier. So whenever we want to configure any document, we need to understand that particular component, hierarchy in the sense complete structure. So we will be defining first supplier, then supplier address, then supplier site, then supplier site assignment, then supplier contacts, then supplier qualifications. This is the hierarchy. This is the hierarchy. So obviously every company will have the suppliers, right? Every company will maintain their suppliers information in a proper format. So this is the format to capture the supplier information. So when we are implementing this supply chain management for our client, we will be doing a lot of components implementation setups as well as configuration. Out of that, I'm going to show you now how to configure the supplier, how to configure the supplier, and how the supplier can log into the applications, how the supplier can access through supplier portal. Then next level supplier sourcing, supplier qualification, self-service procurement. These all things comes with the supplier. So that we will be looking at the training level. I'm just showing you an example. How will you configure the supplier? In the same way, we do the item configuration, customer configuration, sales order, procurement contracts, purchase orders like blanket agreements, contract agreements, and then setting up the requisitions, quotations, negotiation documents, and receipts. Like a lot of objects will be there module wise. Module wise, we will find the different components. Okay, so that we will be doing it. So now at this point of time, what we are doing in this session, setting up the supplier model. So before we do any component setup, first we have to understand the hierarchy, nothing but a data model. So what is master and what is child, that we have to understand, and then we have to go for configure that here. So let's go to the applications here. So the moment when in our previous session we added the supplier manager, so it took some time for us, right? So go to navigator. In previous session we have seen for Nitin user we added two roles. One is employee role, another one is supplier manager. I could see the employee role here, and I can see the supplier role option here. Go to procurement suppliers here. This is the page where we are going to have supplier information. Go to task list. Here we can manage suppliers, nothing but a search page. We can search existing suppliers, and if we want to create new supplier, we can create new supplier here, and then we will be able to find here. Create supplier. Supplier details. Here I'm going to specify the supplier name as Heritage Corporation, USA. What is the business relationship with this supplier? So there are two types of business relationships: prospective supplier, spend authorized supplier. Difference between these two is very simple. Prospective supplier means we can negotiate with the supplier. It means we can send our requirement and then we get the quotation from them. That's how we do that. Prospect. We cannot purchase the goods from the supplier because vendorship is not confirmed with the supplier. Vendorship is not confirmed with the supplier. So we will not be able to, get the order from order. We will not be able to give the order to supplier. We can have the negotiations over here. We can have negotiations over here. So that is prospective. Spend authorized is nothing but approved. It's confirmed supplier. It's confirmed supplier. We will be able to, buy the goods from the supplier. We raise the purchase order and get it from them. Here it is. So go to spend authorized supplier here. And what is the tax organization type here? So we are going to have corporation. Is it foreign corporation? Is it foreign individual or foreign partnership or government agency, individual partnership, like that we find? We go with corporation. So this supplier is a corporation, any tax country, and tax registration number. This is all we find here. So the supplier is registered tax in United States. I got supplier name here. Then I got supplier number. So supplier number automatically generated. What type of supplier, whether it is contractor, subcontractor, or insurance company, is it manufacturing company? They just provide some services, or is it federal or public sector, or is it government tax authority? So what type of supplier? I'm just putting it as just supplier. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So this is about the supplier information. So here supplier profile, we will be specifying what are the products and services the supplier is going to supply. How about the tax related with the supplier, income tax and payments, how we do it. This all details we'll see when we are working with the procurement module. So now supplier details will be specified here. Go to address, supplier address. The supplier maybe can have either one particular location or multiple locations. They have the branches, right? So that we have to maintain. Let's say they have two addresses. One is in California, another one is in New York. Two addresses that we have to configure. So this all details will be given by the client that we are going to configure here. Here it is New York. So this address is for purpose. You can order the goods in this address. You can also do the quotations and as well as the bidding point of view, we can do it. So this will be specified. I'm just going to have one more address here. I'm creating one more address here. So based on the country, this address format will be different. We selected country, still it's not populated. It's getting. So that's what we call it as geographies. Geography setup we do. Based on the country, we set the format. According to that, this information will be populated.
It's not that Oracle has it by default, sir. Like US has the standard, India has the standard.
Yeah, Oracle will provide country-wise as per the
Oh,
legislation. As
oh,
per legislation, they provide. But some client wants to change some of the fields they want to add additionally. That we will go for add.
okay,
Generally, standard geographies legislation will be there. India country, US country, you can do. If there are any changes, we can do that.
okay.
taking a long time. Let me just cancel and create again. Application got little bit slow. Just now it was working fine. Okay. Let me change the instance. Sometimes it happen. Yeah. So we got new instance. So what we have to do is let me do all the setups again, configuration of employee as well as configuration of the user account and supplier role. Okay. So where do we configure the employee? We do it from FSM environment, right? So go to setup and maintenance. And we can choose either financials or procurement. When we are working with supply chain management, we'll be working here. Supply chain materials management, order management, procurement, product management. These four areas will be working. Employee is a global task, can be done from any offering. So go to the task here, manage users. I'm going to assign the user account for this employee, Nitin. And he's going to work for the company called US1 Legal Entity, and then he's going to work for the branch called US1 Business Unit. Let's go for save and close. Now it's employee account as well as user account, both are completed successfully. Go to Tools menu, Security Console. And I can find the user account, whatever we have configured here, Nitin. And this is employee name, employee number, for which business unit you hired this employee, that we can find here. Okay, now let's go for edit. Let me add these roles here. So I'm going to add employee role that is required for everybody when employee wants to perform self-service. So employee role is required. Another one is we would like to configure the supplier. So which role is required? Supplier manager. Excuse me. Supplier manager is the role name which is required for configuration of the supplier. So that's how we have to do. For every module, there will be a 6 to 7 roles. We should be very clear about those roles. Let me reset the password. We'll be creating new roles as well as we'll be customizing existing roles, setting up the privileges. That's a common requirement. Setting up the security, roles, approvals, workflow notifications. This is part of technical as well as functional we are supposed to do. Now go to navigator. So in the navigator, we can find whatever the roles we have assigned for employee. Now I can see me, it is nothing but employee role, nothing but employee role here. And I can find procurement, suppliers. This is called supplier manager role, right? Supplier manager. So let me click on this suppliers. So now it's working immediately. Yesterday it was taking some time because in that instance there was little bit issue. Now it's okay, everything is fine. So whenever we add the role, immediately it will be applied. We don't need to do any other processes. We have to get it immediately. So go to create supplier. Here we provide supplier name and other details we are going to provide here. So I'm going to specify. Here it is. Corporation USA. Spend authorized supplier. It's a corporation. Go to addresses. I'm going to have two addresses here. One is in California, another one is in New York City. Here it is, New York address. This particular address is for giving the order as well as for sending the quotations to them and having the bidding options also. Any communication, phone number, fax, email ID. After some time, if we want disable, we can inactivate. There is a field called inactive date. This. Okay. So it is another one, California address. Nothing but two branches. Client is having two branches here. Okay. It seems the search field is a problem. Country. The same thing happened in our previous instance also. Okay. We'll just go to home page. Let me cancel this and go to home page. And it's suppliers because supplier we already created, right? Here it is, corporation. Edit. Go to addresses. We have already New York address. I'm just going to have another one, California. So here country, what we have to do is we have to select from the list like this. Then it will work. When we do that, that is very rare case. I don't know. So it's very simple issue. Maybe that is because of demo instance that bug might be there. Sometimes it happen. So we'll get from the list. So we'll get it here. So I'm just trying to configure this site also is this address also is for ordering as well as for RFQ or bidding. So what we have done now, we created supplier, then we created supplier addresses here. Okay. So two addresses we have here, nothing but two branches. Now, what I'm trying to do, every address we have to associate with the site. Address is just like a branch address that we are going to have that we will associate with the site. Let's go to Sites tab here. Now, I'm getting a warning message here. What is that? An address must exist before creating a site. An address must exist before creating a site. But address is already there, right? Addresses we have. Let's just go for save and submit. Go for submit. See, addresses are not available here. There is a profile change request pending approval. So it seems approvals are available, approvals are pending. That's the reason we are not able to get addresses successfully here. So where do we find this addresses setup, profile setup? So that we have to do it from FSM environment. So let me do that here. So what happened when we are trying to create supplier, system is asking you need approvals. So otherwise we cannot create. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the approvals and let's create a supplier. So where do we do the setups for the approval? We do it FSM. As I said, everything we do it from FSM, go to procurement, approval management. So approvals we find in the procurement module for requisitions, purchase orders, and also we find it for suppliers. We also find for supplier negotiations, supplier negotiation awards, purchasing document approvals, internal supplier, this all. So right now we are working for spend authorization suppliers, right? Spend authorized suppliers are nothing but approved suppliers. I would like to disable these approvals. I would like to go for disable these approvals. Yeah. So, or you can enable the approval and set it as automatic. So I'm going to enable this approval. Go to edit, automatic. Fine. There are different types of approval rules. It's very simple, not complex. We'll see that when we are working in the regular classes, and internal supplier profile change approvals also. Serial approval, edit, it's automatic.
So like why we disable that thing? Like I mean, it's for straightforward approvals.
Yeah, right now we are just creating supplier, right, directly.
Okay.
So when we are working in our regular classes in the syllabus, we will be discussing which type of approval we are going, right? So
Okay.
we will have supervisor hierarchies as well as
Yeah.
based on the condition, approval levels, job hierarchy, position hierarchy, different.
Yeah. I mean,
That we
so
will be discussing.
yeah. So I mean, now this particular user has a blanket approval. I mean,
No,
he can
that is
do.
blanket is for purchase order, right? Not for the
Oh,
supplier. Now what we have configured is for supplier. I have disabled all the supplier address profiles and other options.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Now it's everything is fine. Now supplier name is there, and I can go to supplier addresses. See, I'm able to see the addresses. It's got approval automatic. Right. Next, when I go for sites, now again we are going to get again message. What is that? Another warning message. You cannot maintain the sites only if you are a procurement agent with access to the suppliers. You can create supplier because you are an employee, but you cannot create supplier site because you are not a buyer. If you are a buyer, then you can create supplier site. Otherwise, you cannot. Otherwise, you cannot create. Okay. So Mr. Nitin is buyer right now. I would like to make him as, buyer. I would like to make him as a buyer. So how to make this employee as a buyer? Login as implementation user. So I'm going to configure employee as a buyer. These all things we have to learn. So if I want to configure supplier, what are the roles required? What are the permission setups required? What is the data model of the supplier? And then we need to go for configure. That's what actually the setup for every component. For example, we are doing item configuration. So before we configure item, make sure that master organization, inventory organization, sub-inventories, item classes needs to be configured. Then only we'll be able to create item. That's all our prerequisites, right? That's all. Now make it, I'm going to make it employee as a buyer. So which business unit you are going to work? US1 BU. What is the agent? Nothing but employee, Nitin. And a default requisitioning business unit. So I'm going to configure that Mr. Nitin is one of the employee in this branch and he is a buyer also now. What is the meaning of buyer? He can buy the material from the suppliers. He can buy the material or service or any category. Okay. And I mentioned that this buyer has got the access for all. This buyer has got the access for all here. And I have not given the access to other agents' documents. Other agents' documents I have not given. Only self documents can be accessible here. Okay. And in that, suppliers is there already. Supplier option is enabled. Say. So every time implementation user I'm missing. So let me create one implementation user to security console. because that username and password I'm not able to remember. So every time I'm going to copy. So what I'll do is I'll create a new one. We can just copy. Like this, we can copy the users also. Now Nitin is going to log in. Procurement, suppliers. Go to manage suppliers. Earlier, what happened? It was not allowing us to work with. Just let me go for edit. Addresses or exist and sites. Earlier, it was showing warning message. Now it's not showing because now Mr. Nitin is a buyer, so he can do that. He can create supplier site. So I'm going to create supplier site. So for every address, there will be a site. I'm going ahead with New York address here. So this is what the site, and I'm going to say that we can purchase the goods or service from this particular site, supplier site, and we can also go for make the payment. The supplier site is nothing but a supplier branches. So when you are expecting some goods or service from the supplier, maybe supplier can have either one site or multiple sites, right? So that's what we are going to configure here. Let me go for save and close. So once the site is created, we are supposed to assign this site to the business units. The site is created, fine, but you have to assign this site to the business unit. That's what we call it as site assignment. Go to edit. There is a tab here, site assignment. Auto create assignment. Automatically it will assign to the business units which you are working. Or you can do it manually also. So you are working for US one business unit, it has been assigned, and the remaining business units are associated with your main BU. That's why we got automatically. It's okay, no problem. If you don't want, of course, you can delete from here. Okay. A lot of options are there here. That's not required at this point of time. So one site is created successfully in New York. Let me create another one. So we are going to create site for California, and then we are going to specify the site assignment. This site also is for payment, save, and then we have to enable site assignment. If we want to make any changes for the New York site, we can do it here. Now we created this successfully, supplier as well as the supplier site we have done here. Okay. Now when it comes to the supplier site here, so when we are seeing this, there is a warning message, right? California, warning message. So what is warning message here? We do not have any contacts information here. We do not have any contacts information. Here it is. Means if I want to buy the material from the supplier site, we do not have the contact information here, right? So from where we get it here? So go to this tab, contacts. So who is the contact person here? So let's go to the tab here, contacts. Go to contacts tab. Here we'll go for specify. Who is the contact person? If in case if I want to buy the material from. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify Mr. Sai Prasad is a sales manager. Mr. Sai Prasad is a sales manager, and he's going to take care of New York branch. And I want to create a user account for that Sai Prasad also. Why we required a user account for suppliers? Because if I want to buy some of the materials from the suppliers, if I required any quotation from supplier, or if I need any information from the supplier, generally how we will communicate? We'll call to the supplier and take the information, or we'll send the email to supplier and get the details. That's a general communication channel, email or phone call or whatever the communication. But what Oracle says, you can use this module, supplier portal module. Supplier portal is purely for suppliers. Maybe we have 10,000 suppliers, doesn't matter. We'll give the access to them. They go for login and they can verify the complete details about the company orders, requirements, quotations, negotiations, invoices, payments, this all. Okay. So that time we'll give the user account for them. So what I said here, let's create a username for the Prasad and also assign the following roles. That's what we have specified. Email is mandatory. Communication, phone number, mobile, this is general information. Like this contact details will be specified here, supplier contact. Now, Prasad is a supplier contact, of course, we call it as a supplier, but on behalf of Heritage Company, who is the communicated person, Sai Prasad is communicate. He is a sales manager. He will take care of the entire purchasing and other options. Okay. And from our company, who is the buyer? Mr. Nitin. Nitin is the buyer. That's how we configure the buyer as well as the supplier setup. Okay. So we have done supplier contacts, then supplier qualifications. So supplier qualification is nothing but company registration. When this supplier registered their company, what is their employee strength? How about their financial stability? How about the qualification certifications, whether they are certified suppliers or not? Okay. What is the brand value of this company in the market? This is all information. If required, it can be captured. That itself is a separate module actually. Where is that? This supplier qualification. There is a separate module to maintain the supplier qualification details. To maintain the supplier qualification details, we have here this. Okay. Now, this is how we will go for configure supplier. So we configured supplier, supplier address, supplier sites, supplier site assignment and contacts, and also we created user account for the supplier. Now, let me just show you how the supplier can log in. Tools menu. User account means we have to come to tools menu, security console. Site.prasad. That's the user account. Party. Party is nothing but maybe supplier or customer. So Sai Prasad is not our company employee, right? Nitin is our company employee. He is a buyer. Okay. So Sai Prasad is a supplier contact. And we also created user account for Sai Prasad. Okay. So he can log in and he can send the bidding. He can demand planning and sales rep. He can act like a sales representative or customer service representative. So these all are the roles. Let me reset the password and log in as supplier. Go to supplier portal here. So no setup and maintenance because supplier can't access our setups environment. And then we don't find navigator menu also because he is not our company employee, Sai Prasad. He is a supplier, so he can just access supplier portal. Now this is about supplier plan, supplier orders. Supplier can see what are the agreements they have with our company, channel program, shipment, what are the goods they have shipment, contracts and deliveries, invoices, pending invoices and payments which are pending. And we also find negotiations and other documents information here we find. This qualifications and all this. So this is communication between the supplier and buyer. If supplier wants to communicate with our company regarding the orders, invoices, payments and all, through supplier portal, they'll raise a request. Okay. So nowadays, every company is going to maintain the supplier portal because information will be within the application. It will not be in external application. Everything will find in the same. Okay. So that's about the supplier configuration. So any doubts here? Are you able to understand this? Oh, the reason why I have done this setups like employee setup, user account, buyer setup, supplier setup, and supplier portal setup here. This is what actually we have to do in the application. Configure the product to the client as per the requirement. But when you are going to configure which component we have to do first, next which component we have to do. If something goes wrong in this component, where it will reflect, that is important. There we will find the complexity. That's what we have seen two things today, right? One, we created addresses, but I'm not able to see the address because of the approval issue. Then I was not able to create supplier site. I was able to create supplier address, fine, but site I was not able to create because if you want to create a supplier site, you must be a buyer. Otherwise, you cannot. Okay. So this is what actually like hundreds of dependencies will be there and the conditions that we have to be clear. Then only we will be able to do that. Yeah. Any doubts here? Anybody?
Chandra, is demo instances and real-time application has like same features or different?
Same. We don't find any difference, but in the commercial instance, what happened? We don't find this type of bugs. Like just now, I have seen, right? When I try to
Yes.
enter the country name, it's got struck up. So those type of things we don't find issues in the real-time instance. Otherwise, both are same. See the versions point of view. This is the latest version, release 13, 25A. Every year there will be a 4 quarters, A, B, C, D. Now we are in 2025, right? This is. So Oracle Fusion Applications version is release 13. Version is release 13. And 25A is the latest version. So every year there will be a 4 quarters. Excuse me. So Fusion Applications introduced by Oracle in 2013 and in 2014, like that time we were having release 11. Then we got release 12. Then we got release 13. Release 13 we got in 2018, no, 17, 18 we that. Then we got in 2019. So 19A, 19B, 19C, 19D. Version is release 13 only. Then 2020. So we find 20A, 20B, 20C, 20D. Now we are in 2025, right? So obviously, January, we are in February, 25A. Next April, 25B. April, May, June. July, 25C. July, August, September. October, November, December, 25D. Next year, 2026. So every quarter, there will be a changes. There will be updates from the product. So finally, the version of the Fusion applications is release 13 and update is this. For example, now we are taking training February, March, April. So let's say April our training is completed, and you are going to put the resume in May. You are going to put the resume in May. So what is the version we have to mention in our resume? 25B, release 13 25B. If your interviewer asks you which version you are working, we have to say that release 13 25B. We don't need to tell release 13 because release 13 is their last 6 years. Last 6 years, release 13 only. That is version. But updates will be different. 19A, 19B, like that onwards. We see now 25A, 25B. Okay. So 25B, that's what we have to specify. So every quarter. So as a functional consultant, every quarter, what are the changes done by Oracle? Module wise, we have to be very clear. So I'll be telling you where do we find those changes. Module wise, what are the changes we'll find? Where do we find that? That we'll see it later when we are talking about the module. When once the module is completed, so how our training will happen is first module will be completed, setups, testing and all. In that module, I will assign you the Udemy course, which is FAQs, both questions and answers. There will be at least 60 to 70 questions and answers module wise we will find. Okay. Then after completion of that, assignments will be there module wise. So how to perform that assignments, I'll be explaining in the Udemy courses. So you can go through that and complete that particular task. So this happens in every module. After completion of all this, then finally what you have to do is you have to go with the resume. So I'll explain the resume preparation and then I'll explain the project. We'll be talking about the documentation part. Then we will be explaining who are the clients are using. I'll give you 20 to 25 client names. You can put 3 to 4 clients in the project. How to put client names, how to specify the responsibilities and roles, assignment details, what are the real-time issues that we will put it in our resume. That is a part of our training only. So I'll be providing that. So you can go for start working. That's how it happened. So any doubts here now?
Hi, Chandra.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good.
Uh, Chandra, are we covering the delegation rules in this?
Yes. But it's a part of that.
And tax and currency related?
No
Right.
tax. Tax we are not going to take care of it.
Tax we are not covering.
Yeah, that comes actually under financials. We are not dealing with the tax.
Okay. So one more thing. Is there any are we just you are helping for creation the BPD because I am a beginner here. So I got a task for just creating the BPD and all business process document for the clients.
Yeah, we are going to discuss how to prepare the documentation. OEM methodology, Oracle Unified methodology. What are different templates we have, and the templates how we have to prepare. That I will be explaining. So document preparation is not an issue. Once you are clear with the component setup, configuration, testing. See, documentation is basically whatever the setups you have done that you are supposed to document it. Because after
Okay.
some time, if somebody is in the part of the project, then they should easily understand what exactly we have done. Because instead of going through entire application, if they go through that 10 pages or 20 or 30 pages document, what we have prepared, what problems we have faced, who has approved that document, and who has given the suggestion, who has reviewed, who has done the changes. So all this history we find in the document, right? So for that documents, Oracle says that every client should follow OEM methodology, Oracle Unified methodology. There will be different templates. So we have to follow that. So when we are saying that we are working in Fusion applications as a team member for supply chain management functional consultant, we should be very clear what are the documents we will be preparing, what information will fill it in that we will be discussing.
Yeah. One more thing. So I have a basic knowledge in the implementation and all. So now our organization has given the access for clearing the certification. So are you going to help in the clearing the certification also? Just I'm asking for.
Help means whatever the training we are giving, if you are perfect, then you can clear the interview yourself. Sorry, you can clear the certification yourself. I can show you how to enroll for the certification, what are the topics you have to prepare. Of course, those all topics will cover in our training.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Fine, guys, let's go for this. Tomorrow we are going to have regular sessions. We completed successfully 3 demos. I already uploaded demo 1, demo 2, and demo 3 also you will find in the YouTube channel. You can go through. Okay. So communicate with our admin regarding the enrollment. So they will explain you the entire process. So tomorrow onwards, regular classes will be started. Same time, 8:30 to 9:45 like that. 1 hour is the class timing. Obviously, 10-15 minutes it will be extended for doubts, clarification, or sometimes if the topic is not closed immediately, we'll go for extend. Okay. So that's Monday to Friday. Classes will be there. Every class will be recorded and it will be shared. And we'll have a WhatsApp group. In that, I'm also the part. So if any doubts you have during the practice or anything, you will be communicating with us. So as a team, we'll be delivering this entire training and make sure that you will be strong in all these modules functionally 100% and technically we will be covering basics. If somebody wants to be strong in technical side, as I said, we will be providing you the Udemy courses free of cost. It is okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's see you tomorrow on the different meeting ID. Same time. Thank you.
Chandra, I have one more question.
Yes.
My current and previous roles are like design engineer and quality analyst. So after completing this training, can I apply as a functional consultant?
Yeah, no problem. See, basically, it is maybe you are from technical prospect or any other domain.
Yes.
You can go ahead with putting 4 to 5 years of experience in the supply chain management, and we can go ahead between
But
three
my
to five.
designation and roles are different in.
No, they won't see that and all designation.
Okay.
They won't
Okay.
see.
Thank you.
So we don't need actually any prerequisition. So we take that everybody is a fresher for this course, and they will be will take from basic level to experience.
Yeah, Chandra, sorry. Are we getting on-job support in this?
Job support, I'll not be having time, but if you go through our training, maybe once you get offer letter, then maybe our admin person can communicate with our previous students who has got placed. Like we are doing it last 5-6 years, right? So they may communicate. Definitely they will provide. But I'll not be available. They'll
Okay.
assign someone else.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
One question.
Your voice is very low, please.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
So this is regarding the purchasing. So we do have some planned orders, right? So we do get some planned orders from the ASCP and all, right? Normally in the EBS side.
Mm-hmm.
In the So I was just expecting, is there any chance that we can look at few of them from the supply chain planning to Oracle, or purchasing few of the planned orders, that setups and all?
No, those I am not going to cover actually. So we
Oh,
talk about purchasing point of view, standard POs, planned POs, blanket agreements, and then
yeah, planned
this
POs normally they come from the
yeah,
ASCP, right?
from the integration from ACP, I will not be covering, but how to create planned POs, the differences and all will be explaining. If somebody is from that EBS planned, modules point of view, by that time anyway, when I explain purchasing setups, roles, data access and all, then you can explore yourself towards to advanced supply
It's
chain as
okay.
well as manufacturing planning.
Yeah, got it. Okay, yeah, sure. So we just have to inform to the admin to the
Yeah. You can
that
communicate with the admin. They provide every details.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Let's see you tomorrow on different meeting. Thank you. Thanks for your time.